This weekend, the Blancpain GT Sports Club is here in Hungary. We're at the Hungary ring close to Budapest. David Addison trackside of the cars, making their way onto the grid after a day in which they've had free practice and qualifying, and they've also had pretty much the worst of the weather. It is late afternoon now, it's about 5:15 local time. We've had earlier delays thanks to the weather, and now, although the road is dry and it's quite mild outside once more, it's a bit more overcast. But earlier on, when they were out qualifying, the session had to be stopped because the rain was absolutely torrential. We also had Jürgen Hering's Porsche off the road early on in the day with damage, and that, I fear, is a car that is not going to be on the grid, but the order is starting to take shape with newcomer Kenny Harble on pole position. Karim Ogier has had a good season. He's had 3 wins. He leads the championship ahead of Luigi Lucchini, who's a double winner. Mario Cordoni also has taken a brace of wins. He is next in the championship ahead of the pseudonym Coach McKenzie. Patrick van Glebbeke is 5th, and the aforementioned Jürgen Hering 6th in the championship, but unlikely to be on this grid for race 1 with the SRO Motorsports Porsche damaged with an off earlier on in the day. So the cars will form up on the grid. We are about 10 minutes away from the start of the formation. That there is the grid. It's a modest one this weekend, and indeed missing from the very back of it is 66 Jürgen Hering. At the front of it, however, is the number 75 Mercedes, Kenny Harble at the wheel. And he is the driver receiving coaching you see there from Tristan Vautier, sharing the car with him in the Sprint Cup here this weekend, so getting a lot of mileage in. Kenny Harble, the Australian, his family initially from Herzegovina, but moved to Australia. These days, he splits his time between Australia and America. Very successful construction industry man and an enthusiastic racer, a musician as well. With him at the front of the grid is Karim Ogier, from a good racing family, and Karim 3 times a winner this season. There for 3rd on the grid is Patrick van Glebbeke, an experienced Ferrari racer within this series, within the Road to Le Mans as well. And Patrick van Glebbeke, who's been a bit short of luck this season, should be there or thereabouts, but apart from a podium at Misano when he was 3rd and a 3rd at Spa and a 2nd at Spa, it's been a bit of a lean season by his high standards. Therefore 4th on the grid is Mario Cordoni, who was victorious in both races at Monza at the start of the season. Cordoni on the outside of the 2nd row in his Ferrari, the car run by AF Corsa under the Spirit of Race banner. We do have Porsche representation, even though we've lost Jürgen Hering. We have the pseudonymed Edward Lewis Browner, and he is good to go in his SRO Motorsport Porsche. He and Jürgen Hering, regular teammates within the Endurance Cup, and therefore 6th on the grid is another of the drivers with the pseudonym Coach McKenzie, who is in the Lamborghini Huracan. He's been a loyal Lamborghini racer for Harry Propchik's team, the HP Racing International squad. And on the 4th row of the grid, you've got Angelique de Tavernier, the Model Cup racer with her Ferrari 488, and number 3, Klaus-Dieter Frères, who is very much the man to beat in the Iron Cup. There is Angelique de Tavernier, AF Corsa Ferrari, good to go for the Belgian lady. And alongside, as I say, is Klaus-Dieter Frères. You've got the overall cup, you've got the Titanium Cup for the 50s, and then the over 60s, which is the Iron Cup. And there is Klaus-Dieter Frères, rapid historic racer before he came into modern GT cars, and he is the man to beat within that part of the championship. Against Steve Earle, but it's Klaus-Dieter Frères who has been victorious all but once this year, in fact. Steve Earle, who is behind him on the grid, last year's champion, but Klaus-Dieter has really raised his game for this season. There is Louis-Philippe Cernan, who's been entered for the GT4 races this weekend, as well as the Sports Club. His Ferrari 488, part of the Iron Cup as well, and run by Amato Ferrari's AF Corsa team. Louis-Philippe Cernan ready to go, and alongside him will be the orthopedic specialist Steve Earle. There he is, the mustachioed American with the now black and red Kessel Racing Ferrari. Steve, a great enthusiast, does a lot of travelling to come to Europe for his racing, and hopefully he's going to be rewarded with another good result after an accident at Monza put him out of contention at the start of the season in a race that was red flagged. And then the last car on the grid is number 60 Mercedes of Roberto Raineri. It's the earlier incarnation of the Mercedes, the SLS-AMG GT3. It is run by GDL Racing, which is Gianluca De Lorenzi's squad, and now the grid is being cleared. It will not be long before we go racing for the qualifying race. 25 minutes it will be. The the order of which determines the grid for tomorrow's main race, the 14-minute race. The sports club aimed at the amateur drivers and to try and give them a nice place to race, pure and simple, against comparable drivers without having to look in your mirrors all the time for the much faster pro drivers bearing down on you. There is Tristan Vautier giving last-minute words of advice to Kenny Harble, who's never raced here before. He is the boss of Sun Energy, and there is the pace car, safety car, making its way around the lap. It will park on the far side of the circuit, should it be needed. Karim Mauger looking to try and maintain this great run that he's had. He had a win at Paul Ricard, his first ever win, but has bounced with 2 more at Spa. So he's the form man. He comes here looking for 3 on the trot, 4 in total. Patrick Van Glebecker and Mario Cordoni also very competitive. They're up near the pointy end of the grid as well. So with 5 minutes to go and then a 25-minute race, it should be an interesting one. This Kenny Harble is the real interest because he's an experienced driver. We've not seen much of him in Europe. He was very impressive to win the Pro Outclass within the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup earlier on in the day. Tristan Vautier is co-driver in that. He's learning fast. He did have a spin, Kenny Harble, in the earlier race, but very impressive class win nonetheless. There are the Ferraris of Angelique de Tavernier and Klaus-Dieter Frères lined up good to go. And so very shortly the field is going to be released and 25 minutes underway. Far better track conditions now than they had certainly for FP2 or for qualifying when it was just so wet. It was no joke whatsoever. Edward Lewis Browner's Porsche is ready to go, and so alongside him is Coach McKenzie. So the grid is there, and we very shortly will have the 3-minute board shown. In fact, we've just had it now. The grid's going to be cleared. The last engineers will leave the line at the 1-minute mark, and then we'll be underway. Joel Duval, who is the race director, will give the signal from inside race control. William Walter there with the green flag, his assistant race director. He will wave the flag on the line and get people away. And so there is the pole position car of Kenny Harble, the Mercedes lining up on pole position. It's the very latest Mercedes AMG GT3, and alongside on the outside of the front row is Karim Mauger's BMW. Go back a row, Mario Cordoni's yellow doored red Ferrari with the red and white colours of Patrick Van Glebecker alongside. Then you've got the Porsche of Edward Lewis Browner and Coach McKenzie for company. Angelique de Tavernier in her Ferrari is on the 4th row of the grid, and it is Klaus-Dieter Frères 488 that lines up alongside. Then the green and white Ferrari you can see in the background, that is the car of Louis-Philippe Cernan, and to line up alongside him is the red Kessel car of Steve Earle, and then the last car on the grid is Roberto Raineri with that earlier Mercedes. It's no longer the fastest car. I mean, that goes back to the era when Maxi Buch, Maxi Goetz, Ben Schneider were winning the Spa 24 hours, and the 2 Maxis were winning Blancpain titles. In its day, it was a quick car, but now it's been rather overtaken by technology. So the old Mercedes at the back, the new Mercedes on pole, but it does illustrate the way that the championship has evolved as well, because it's gone from being a home for the gentleman racer with an old car to the gentleman racer, or the less experienced racer, perhaps to be more accurate these days, with the latest machinery. So BMW Z4s, 458 Ferraris, they've been and gone really, because now you've got to have the latest car in order to be competitive, and maybe that's something to be looked at, an earlier generation of GT3 category. At the moment it's focused on the drivers, but maybe the age of the car will be considered as well for future recognition for the class and structure. 1 minute to go, grid's cleared, and very shortly, as soon as everybody is off the track, we'll be good to go then. 25 minutes ahead of us for this first race, the qualifying race in the Blancpain GT Sports Club. So there, looking down onto the start line, you can see the blue Mercedes of Kenny Harble at the very front. But Karim Mauger, who's done the bulk of his racing in Europe, the Saudi Arabian driver by nationality, accelerates away. The Boutsen-Gignon Racing run BMW, Thierry Boutsen's team, the former Grand Prix racer. There the Ferraris, Patrick Van Glebecker on the inside of the 2nd row, Mario Cordoni alongside him. Should be a good fight between those two, I would have thought, because they're pretty evenly matched drivers. Van Glebecker doing quite a decent job in qualifying to get the car up the order. 3rd row of the grid is Edward Lewis Browner, and then Coach McKenzie to line up alongside the two pseudonym drivers, Porsche and Lamborghini, on the third row of the grid, as the cars now turn their way through turn 1 and make the run down the sort of turn 1B kink, and then you've got the proper left-hander at the foot of the hill. And now in these drier conditions, as I say, they're getting much better track surfaces on which to race now compared to what they had earlier on in the day. Still get the feeling though, the way that he's gone this weekend, and with the extra track time, not that much because it's one stint in a 1 hour race, but Kenny Harville has certainly developed over the weekend with greater knowledge of the circuit, and it's going to be hard to stop, I suspect, as the Mercedes then accelerates up towards turn number 4. Kenny Harville, part of the entry for last week's Suzuka 10 Hours, in which he did a very good job, and the Australian driver sprints clear of turn 5 now, this short back straight up towards the chicane, where certainly the pro drivers have been using an awful lot of curb. The AMs may well steer clear of that. We'll see how this develops. So as the field turns through, it is Mercedes and BMW on the front row, Ferrari on row 2, and then Porsche and Lamborghini on the third row. It's an all-Ferrari 4th row, it's an all-Ferrari 5th row, and it's a sole Mercedes on the back of the grid. I fear, as I say, Jürgen Herring's car damaged beyond repair, although hopefully it might be on the grid for tomorrow, but the German driver, I fear, is going to be a non-starter for the rest of the weekend. So formation lap almost at an end. Down they come towards the turn 12 right-hander, and the race underway this time. At Monza, it was Mario Cordoni who was the dominant driver at the Paul Ricard doubleheader. It was Luigi Lucchini who won the first, but then got a penalty, so he lost out in race 2 to Carimoge. Then for Misano, Luigi Lucchini blitzed the weekend, and Spa, Carimoge, perhaps in fairness, given his extra knowledge of that place, it was no surprise. But Carimoge, with the confidence now, knowing that he can win races. For a season or two, he was always the bridesmaid, but now he knows he can deliver. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, rocks up Kenny Harville, who was at Spa for the 24 hours. He was at Suzuka, as I say. He's now in the Sprint Cup doing some European races, and straight away proves his ability by putting the car on pole position. So we are ready to go racing then. The cars make their way up towards the timing line. The lights go green, it's blast off, and a good start by Ogier. The BMW just gets its nose in front on the run down towards turn 1. 25 minutes of racing is go, and Carimoge now is going to try and move across and cover the line. On the inside line is Kenny Harville, who brakes late and goes through on the inside line. They lean on each other. Out wide goes Ogier, and that gives Mario Cordoni a chance to challenge. Van Gleber gets squeezed up towards the grass on the inside line as they come down the hill towards turn 2 for the first time. Carimoge back into second place. Whoops, one gets squeezed up onto the grass there. Was that Angelique Tavernier? I think it was. Yes, it was. 55 Ferrari then. Having to go a bit agricultural to keep out of trouble. But as the leaders make their way up towards turn 4 for the first time, it is up front Kenny Harville. The Mercedes leads the way. Coach McKenzie's had a good first couple of corners because from the third row he's in third place. And what's happened to Ogier? Forced out wide in the spin. Clausi Defrez goes around with a little bit of frontal damage, and off the road is Edward Lewis Browner. The Porsche is in the tyres. That, I fear, unless he can get off the grass, it's going to be a safety car or a full course yellow at least, because that's in an awkward place. If anybody else goes wide and spins across the road, they'll strike that car. We'll see whether he can get going or not. There he is. He has got going again, so that means that Edward Lewis Browner has to play catch-up, but he's a long way back, so the Porsche blasts away. Number 991 back into the races. The 991 shapes 911, hence the number, as the leaders come down to turn 12 for the first time. We're looking at probably, what, 13, 14 laps in this race, and there is Kenny Harville, well clear already. But Carimoge, having been rather mugged over the first 2 or 3 corners, has given away that good start. So even through the last sector, it was 2 seconds worth of an advantage that Harville had over Mario Cordoni there. Look, in second, Coach McKenzie runs third. In fourth place, it is Patrick Van Gleber, the Belgian driver. And he comes now up towards the timing line. He will go through Van Gleber over the line, closing on Coach McKenzie. Now, Carimoge is 5th, but very nearly 6 seconds adrift here as they come down towards turn 1. In 6th place is Angelique Tavernier, and Van Gleber has a look from quite a long way back up on the inside line there, but he can't really dislodge Coach McKenzie. So Mackenzie hangs on for the time being, at least, a third position as the cars drop down towards turn 2. And into the pit lane comes Klaus-Dieter Frers. So having been almost invincible this year in the Iron Cup, the car has got damaged to the bodywork and also, by the look of it, the suspension, and it heads down the pit road to what I suspect is going to be a retirement. So therefore, what do we have within the Iron Cup? It's Steve Earle leading the way from Louis-Philippe Cernan and Roberto Raineri. Up front, the top two getting away, but now battle is on for third and fourth. Coach Mackenzie under attack from Patrick Van Gleverke here. Into the chicane, Van Gleverke on the tail, turns to the right and then the left, and accelerates now up towards turns 8 and 9. So Van Gleverke through. Let's look at the start once more. Just watch Caramogio over these first few corners, because he makes a really good getaway on the outside line. Had his nose oh so briefly in front, but he couldn't get across and cover the line, so the door is open. Kenny Harble comes back up the inside, but that's when it went wrong for Ogier, look, because he got forced out wide by the late braking Harble. That left the door open. So Ferrari's coming past him, and then down towards turn 3. Ah, there you go, looking, it's squeezed out wide. Coach Mackenzie up the inside, and there's the contact. Klaus-Dieter Frers into Edward Lewis Browner. Damage to Ferrari. Porsche spins across the road. So that's under investigation, that last little moment, but quite a lot to pick up on from the first lap. But certainly Caramogio forced wide, and he had to lift. Coach Mackenzie muscling away past him. So Kenny Harble is away and gone. 4.6 seconds clear already here. Mario Cordoni through in second spot, Coach Mackenzie third, and Patrick Van Gleverke again, look, from a long way back and late as well, comes to have a look on the inside line, but to no avail. Fifth is Caramogio, but he's 7 seconds plus away from the race leader now. Kenny Harble is going to take some stopping here, the Antipodean star, looking very, very promising indeed. It's a shame that he's not done all rounds of the championship, otherwise it'd be a real threat to the championship leader, which is, of course, Caramogio. Second in the championship is the absent Luigi Lucchini. Third is Mario Cordoni, and fourth in the title race at the moment is Coach Mackenzie, who is here under huge attack from the man that's fifth in the championship, Patrick Van Gleverke. Nose to tail they run, Lamborghini versus Ferrari, the Huracan against the 488. You've got the BMW M6 next in the queue. They sprint their way out of the chicane, but really in these physically big cars, it's hard to overtake on this back part of the circuit unless the guy ahead makes a small error. It's coming out of turn 14 over the line down to turn 1, where you've got to piece it together and make that move and try and make it stick. Van Gleverke then in the Ferrari, right on the back of Coach Mackenzie as they drop down through turn 11 here, short straight. Van Gleverke moves to the inside line, brakes late, he's going to make a move this time, is he? He tries. Had to bail, stands on the anchors, gets up the curb, and that gives Caramogio a chance to challenge now because he's got the momentum. Patrick Van Gleverke trying to get past the Lamborghini, but he just can't do it. And there, that was a really concerted effort, but at least contact was avoided. Kenny Harble's already gone through over the timing line, incidentally, the Australian driver for the French team of Sun Energy 1 by AMCA ASP team. There's a full entrance of Kenny Harble's car. Over the line he goes. And now down towards turn 1. Mario Cordoni through in second place, then it's Mackenzie, Van Gleverke and Ogier, third, fourth, fifth. But Mario Cordoni, who was very, very quick at Monza, struggling to catch the leader. Here's Van Gleverke, look, he brakes as late as he dares, but then realises that door's closing. And as Mackenzie's up the curb, on the inside of him, Van Gleverke has got no option but to get all four wheels up the rumble strip. Caramogio there in fifth, possibly just waiting for it to end in tears ahead of him. Because you can see what's developing. For penultimate place, by the way, ninth now, there's a good little scrap between Roberto Raineri and the recovering Edward Lewis Browner. Those two cars are together, but the Porsche, the newer Porsche, should go through imminently, I would have thought. Van Gleverke still stuck behind Mackenzie, still being chased by Caramogio as they come now onto the run up towards the chicane once again. They turn, and now the run yet again onto the back part of the circuit. Through turn 10 onto turn 11 they will go. Now there is Louis-Philippe Cernan, number 50, who is on the back of Steve Earle, which means he's on the back of the Iron Cup leader. This is a class battle, and so the two Ferraris, the Kessel car of Steve Earle, then the AF Corsa Spirit of Race car, there it is, of Louis-Philippe Cernan together. for the Iron Cup honours, and this squabble has not resolved itself yet either. 18 minutes are still to run, and McKenzie versus Van Glebeker versus Ogier, those three as one as they climb the hill into turn 14. Kenny Harble goes through, he's done the fastest lap of the race, he leads now by... Still waiting. Anybody else to come over the line? Mario Cordoni is 8.7 seconds back. Coach McKenzie goes through in third. Patrick Van Glebeker is still fourth, and he comes under renewed attack as there, look, once again, trying to find a way past it. The big BMW up the curb. Karim Ogier tries a slingshot coming out of the corner, but yet again, that Ferrari will not be moved, will it? Van Glebeker keeps them at bay as they drop down towards turn 2 here. Sprinting their way now down towards turn 4. This is where track limits have been a bit of a factor all weekend. Not in this category, to be fair. And there you see, using just about enough curb, but not putting all 4 wheels the other side, third, fourth and fifth. But certainly as far as the main Blancpain Sprint Cup has been concerned this weekend, that is the key area for track limit abuse. Over the curb at the chicane, McKenzie, you can see, cannot get away now. He is so busy defending from Patrick Van Glebeker, who is bringing Karim Ogier with him. There is Steve Earle still hanging on to the lead of the Iron Cup, and now trying to get away by putting Angelique Detavernier between him and Louis-Philippe Cernan. That's the plan, and it's working. So he's got a buffer now, he's got one extra car. Van Glebeker again on the inside at turn 12, tries to have a go against the Lamborghini, and again it doesn't work. And again, look there, you have Karim Ogier in the BMW striving to get past. Patrick Van Glebeker is a very busy man here. He's attacking and he's defending simultaneously. Edward Lewis Brown, incidentally, has put himself up past Roberto Ranieri for penultimate place, for 9th overall. Here is McKenzie, the Huracan hurries over the line. Now, can he do anything at all about Mario Cordoni up the road ahead of him? The answer seemingly is no. He's just not quite able to lap as quickly. And now Van Glebeker is under real attack from Karim Ogier, who is doing what we see quite often. He gets better as the race wears on, as he gets more confidence, as the tyres come up to temperature and pressure, the fuel load comes down, Karim Ogier starts to go quicker. It's happened race after race after race, and look now, he's a lot more committed to getting up past that Ferrari. Karim Ogier turns downhill. Van Glebeker, in the meantime, is still looking for a way past McKenzie, but he can't do it. And they make the run up towards turn 4 now. So Mario Cordoni, 11 seconds away from Kenny Harble. Van Glebeker challenges on the inside. Now that's unusual because it's not really a pace that often pays off, and it doesn't work for him, and it means now, look, that Ogier is even closer, trying one side and then the other as they power out of turn 5. Along that short straight, and now going through the chicane up towards us into turn 7. The more Van Glebeker has to defend, the easier it's going to be for Coach McKenzie to drive away from him here. That gap is widening, isn't it? Just ever so slightly. But look, the Prochik run, Harry Prochik team, Lamborghini, is getting clear in 3rd place. Race leader over the timing line as you look at 3rd, 4th, 5th coming out of the penultimate corner. Kenny Harble is just in a different league here, new to the series, new to the circuit, but very, very impressive indeed. So Kenny Harble goes through while he's over here from the States, making the most of the track time available. He actually missed a practice session because the car was still in parc fermé from the Blancpain GT Series track activity earlier on in the weekend, but he certainly doesn't seem to be wanting for lack of mileage, does he? He leads now by 12.6 seconds. There goes Louis-Philippe Cernan over the line. He's in 7th place now, having got past Angelique Detavernier. And down into turn 1, Kenny Harble it is that leads the way. Mario Cordoni in 2nd place. Melty Frères, remember, pitted early on, and it does not look as though he's going to rejoin. If he does, it's only really as a test session for that car now. Up the curb and over the curb goes Patrick Van Glebeker, and now hard on the brakes, turning through turn 5. Kenny Harble, the race leader, heading towards us. That is turn 11 that he comes out of. And the man that he's now chasing, Roberto Raineri, is down at turn 1. So the new generation Mercedes GT3 car catching the old one to put a lap on it. There in second place is Mario Cordoni, who has certainly, I think, been surprised with the pace of Kenny Harble, because at Monza, Cordoni was just unstoppable early on in the season. Here, he's had a real wake-up call. There, down to turn 12. McKenzie, Van Glebeker, Ogier, third, fourth, fifth. It's a good little squabble, but Van Glebeker still thwarted his efforts to make up any ground. So the race leader, Kenny Harble, has now done 7 laps. It is Mario Cordoni doing the chasing in second spot. And third, Coach McKenzie, then Patrick Van Glebeker, then Karim Ogier there. Karim, who's raced Formula Palmer Audi, raced in the early incarnation of LMP2 in the Intercontinental Le Mans Cup, and in the European Le Mans Series. He comes now over the timing line very much at home in this sort of GT race. We saw him for a number of seasons in the Blancpain Endurance Series, but as life became ever more competitive and then he had a sizable accident in his BMW Z4 at Spa in the 24 hours, this is a very happy home for drivers like Karim Ogier that want to go racing at nice circuits, but not be too pressured into it, because, like many, he has a desk to drive in the week. Down the pit lane comes Angelique de Tavernier. Now, these aren't pit stop races, therefore this is a problem. The AF Corsa Ferrari comes in and will lose a place to Edward Lewis Browner, possibly even to Roberto Raineri, as there Van Glebeker has shaken off Ogier and is back onto the tail of Coach McKenzie. So Patrick Van Glebeker needs to get on with this, he knows that, but the danger is he gets stuck behind the Lambo and gets caught by the BMW once again. Out of the chicane, short run down towards turn 8 here. Patrick Van Glebeker, the man behind the Curbstone Track Day Company, right on the back of Coach McKenzie, but have a look at Ogier closing that gap down once more. Kenny Harble, in the meantime, who's already done the fastest lap of the race. He's on lap 8. We've got 11 minutes to go. He's probably already worked out where to put the trophy on the mantelpiece and went to open the champagne. Van Glebeker up the inside again at turn 12. It's not going to happen, surely, because again the curve beckons and Ogier will have a go at him. He's got the momentum. Van Glebeker had to hit the brakes to avoid contact. He loses momentum. Karim Ogier, though, gets forced up onto the outside line going into turn 13, and that does not work for him. What about the run up the hill now, going towards the 14 right-hander? Can't make a move there. So Patrick Van Glebeker has a charmed life in some respects, because despite a few near misses, no contact, and equally he's always able to keep Ogier behind him. Over the line they go. The leading gap is over 16 seconds now. Getting further away up the road is Kenny Harble. Still chasing after him, though, is Mario Cordoni, and then there Angelique de Tavernier in the pit lane, and looking as though this might be the end of the race. Downhill goes in 488 Van Glebeker. So fourth, and look, has dropped back by a length or two now from Coach McKenzie. So the gap is widening once more as the cars power up towards turn 4. Edward Lewis Browner, incidentally, who was delayed early on after the contact and the spin. The Porsche is lapping in the 49s, so I get the feeling it's got some damage sustained from earlier on. It's not as quick as you might anticipate. Whereas this car is very nearly into race 2 already, into the main race. We've got 9 minutes and change on the clock, and Kenny Harble is away and gone, isn't he? Just a mighty impressive drive, this. Out of turn 12, sets the car up. It's this constant switchback here. It's corner after corner with precious few long straights. You're working all the time, and that's one of the problems about overtaking, because there isn't really, certainly in big cars, that much space between the corners to really plot a move. This is about the only main chance coming out of 14 down towards turn 1. And then out of the hairpin, you start to wriggle your way down through the valley. Harble hits the brakes, turns into the right-hander. This could be a very successful trip to Hungary this weekend for him. There in second place, Mario Cordoni. The gap is now 18 seconds. They're lapping at the moment in the 1 minute 47s, 8.5 minutes on the clock. Third is still McKenzie in the background, then Van Glebeker, which was ever thus, and then Ogier. Steve Earle in 6th place, not really catching those ahead of him, is he? So there, the leaders drop downhill once again. Patrick Van Glebeker in 488 Ferrari, with Karim Ogier tucked up behind him. Ogier getting ever more committed. Up the curb there at turn 4, the car almost getting away, and look, Van Glebbeke has to go defensive, so Coach Mackenzie starts to get away ever so slightly. That gap just widens a little as they blast their way now towards the chicane. Through turn 6 and 7, up the curb goes the Lamborghini. Van Glebbeke trying to fend off Karim Ogier, who you can tell now is getting very, very determined indeed. He wants this place. Through they turn, 7.5 minutes are on the clock. Kenny Harbour leads the overall situation. The Titanium Cup, new class this year, Mario Cordoni leads there. And then the Iron Cup, all about Steve Earle, down in 6th place. But the best battle really has been this for 3rd, 4th and 5th, and it's still not resolved. What's going on in the Iron Cup? Steve Earle ahead of Louis-Philippe Cernan into the final 7 minutes of the race now. Cernan 1.3 seconds back at the start of this lap, and still doing his level best to get onto terms with Steve Earle. They've been a bit overshadowed this year by the dominance of Klaus-Dieter Frères, so this makes quite a nice change really, that they can think about battling for a class win themselves. Cernan on the power, out of turn 14, up over the timing line. Through he goes. And now down once more towards the right-hander at turn 1. So Steve Earle running in 6th place overall, leading the Iron Cup for the over 60s. And Louis-Philippe Cernan tantalisingly close, but not quite close enough to make a move. He's down by half a second. He's a little bit nearer than he was a lap ago, but he's still not really close enough to make that move. This is for 4th, nose to tail. Van Glebbeke under attack from Ogier, closing up under braking against Coach Mackenzie, but then the Ferrari washes out wide, does it not? And so that means that Van Glebbeke is under attack once more from Karim Ogier. 5 3/4 minutes are on the clock now as the cars accelerate again up through the back part of the circuit. You see the runoff area there, which again is one of those invitations for people to try that bit harder and then risk the wrath of the track limit marshals. Out of turn 11, drop down the hill over the brow. And then there's the climb starting at the foot of turn 13, up round the back of the pits. Coach Mackenzie in the Lamborghini, under attack from Patrick Van Glebbeke. We've been here before, of course, with PVG attacking for all he's worth, coming around this section of the circuit, but Van Glebbeke still can't find a way by. And he tries one line and it doesn't work, so he's compromised. The car washes out a little bit. Karim Ogier almost near enough there to think about making a move, as now they come once more over the timing line into the last 5 minutes of the 25 in this first race, the qualifying race in the Blancpain GT Sports Club here in Budapest. To the inside line looks Patrick Van Glebbeke, but he can't do it. Turns out of the hairpin at turn 1 out of the corner, and we're now being shown a track limit warning for Louis-Philippe Cernan at the chicane. Interestingly, most people clamber over the curbs there, but Louis-Philippe Cernan being the only driver that's really been given a ticking off for that. So this is the climb up the hill. There you've got the green Lamborghini, Coach Mackenzie from Patrick Van Glebbeke. Again, Karim Ogier trying every which way he can to unsettle the Ferrari, to make that move, to somehow go through, but it just isn't happening for him. Using the curb, now the run up towards turn 8 and 9. Are we settled in this order? The way that Coach Mackenzie has gone hitherto does make you think that he's got it all under control, doesn't it? Because he has been able to fend them off. And there, as the 488 Ferrari swings its way out of turn 11, very wide goes Van Glebbeke, very wide goes Karim Ogier. He was kind of measuring his pace against the car ahead, and I think what triggered all of that was Mackenzie going a bit deep. So if one car goes wide, all those behind who are waiting for him to brake, rather inevitably, are going to run deep into the corner as well. Now Van Glebbeke challenges Mackenzie again, gets right under the rear wing. Look, as they come through the turn 13 corner, up the hill, into the right at 14, and then over the timing line, the lap will be completed. It already has been by Kenny Harbour. Mario Cordoni is about to go through. He's not that far ahead of this battle. It's a shame in a sense that Mackenzie's been so busy having to defend, because he's almost with Cordoni. That gap is 2 seconds. The last lap done by Coach Mackenzie over a second faster. than the Ferrari ahead. Van Glebecker goes a little bit deep through turn 1, but Karim Ogier again, unfortunately for him, frustratingly for him, not close enough to make an attack. This is Mackenzie going wide and Van Glebecker going even wider. Have a look. Way over the curb he goes, and Ogier, measuring his pace against the Ferrari, takes pretty much the same line off the road and back on again there. They all survive, they all get away with it, as there, up the hill towards us, comes the second place Mario Cordoni driven Ferrari. There's a driving standards flag to Louis-Philippe Cernan for track limit abuse. The leader is on lap 13 and might squeeze 2 more out of it to see where he is relative to the clock. A flying lap is a 1:48. And now, Van Glebecker and Ogier being told about respecting track limits at turn 11. So that moment they had on the previous lap picked up by race control, and they're now having a finger wagged at them for abusing track limits. So there is the 3rd, 4th, 5th fight down once more towards the turn 12 right-hander. And the leader goes on to his last lap, as, for my money, they are getting closer to Mario Cordoni for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th places here. So this line of cars might just develop. Cordoni is still clear, but by less of a margin. There is Karim Ogier 5th up the inside of Patrick Van Glebecker. They come over the timing line now onto the last lap of the race then. So up front, Kenny Harble leading by 21.5 seconds from Cordoni, who is now 11 tenths up on Coach Mackenzie. Coach Mackenzie is trying everything he can. I'm not convinced he's going to get there, especially with Van Glebecker still attacking him, but it's close. It's definitely close. Downhill they come once again, down towards turn 2. And so Mario Cordoni, with those 2 wins at Monza, with a 2nd and a 3rd at Spa, hangs on to 2nd position here, but is it going to remain that way? The evidence suggests yes, because although Mackenzie is closer, he's not quite, I would suspect, close enough to mount a challenge. Kenny Harble, in the meantime, is away and gone. This has been a very, very impressive drive by the American domicile Australian. 2nd place, Cordoni is getting away once more from Coach Mackenzie. That gap, as you can see, has just widened ever so slightly here as the cars again turn up towards the left and then right of turns 8 and 9. But for Kenny Harble, who's already had a class win in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup here today, this has been a very impressive drive indeed. It's not a circuit he exactly knows well, but he has certainly improved over the weekend, and he has certainly impressed. He was good at Spa when we saw him at the 24 Hours. He was good at Suzuka a week ago, for example. He's had a class win in Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. And Kenny Harble wins the qualifying race in the Blancpain GT Series Sports Club. He comes across the line. Kenny Harble wins, and the margin is a huge one, because there, look, coming through a long way back, Mario Cordoni. Cordoni, 19.5 seconds adrift. The gap actually came down a bit towards the end on that last lap as Harble backed off. 3rd, Coach Mackenzie, good effort that by him, ahead of Patrick Van Glebecker, and then Karim Ogier with 6th, going the way of Steve Earle here, who is on target, of course, to win the Iron Cup. So a good job done by Steve Earle as he comes through victorious, and in so doing will take only a 2nd Iron Cup win of the season. Edward Lewis Browner there having a bit of a wobble down at turn 13. Of course, he was delayed early on when he got involved with Klaus-Dieter Freires, had that spin. So it's been a decent recovery for the Porsche driver as he comes now up towards the timing line. Still makes a great noise, doesn't it, a racing Porsche? And especially here with the grandstands and the buildings on either side, keeping that sound locked in. So, Kenny Harble, what a drive. The Sun Energy One racing by ACA ASP team Mercedes AMG GT3, deep breath, wins by just under 20 seconds and puts itself, of course, onto pole position for the main race tomorrow. One of the easier drives, maybe, that Kenny has had, learning the circuit, yes, but not really under any pressure from those around him. But a faultless display, didn't put a wheel out of line. Mighty, mighty stuff in the Mercedes. So, Kenny Harble peels his way back towards the pit lane. And the Mercedes such a commanding advantage. Takes, you have to say, a pretty easy win in the end. So there, Kenny Harble from Mario Cordoni and Coach McKenzie. Good to see the flags of all colours being waved at the drivers as they head down towards turn 12. I'll come to the pit lane and then into Parc Fermé, and then of course the winning drivers up towards the podium. There is the Mercedes, which has proved to be the car to beat. The Mercedes of Roberto Raineri, incidentally, the earlier generation, last place. So the Mercedes, as they did on the grid, bookending it, and they're almost forgetting to come into the pit lane. Kenny Harble has to rattle over the curb. That's the only slight blot on an otherwise perfect, unblemished copybook. So down the pit lane he comes, and Kenny Harble will be a very happy man, no doubt, when he steps out of the car. And can he do the double, both in this and, of course, in the Blancpain GT Series, which, as I say, with Tristan Vautier, he's already a class winner. Celebrates in the pit lane, lights up the tyres, and a delighted man he is as the car comes to a halt. And the Sun Energy colours the flames across the bonnet, and out will clamber the Australian. So Kenny Harble it is, a race winner. Tristan Vautier there congratulates Le Patron, and Kenny Harble has done an excellent job there to score the win. The Echo ASP team, Jerome Policon's squad, are there also to congratulate him. The ASP element is the Autosport Promotion part, ACA, which is the French industrial company owned by one of Jerome Policon's drivers, Jean-Luc Blanchemin, and it's becoming one of the customer Mercedes teams as the drivers then congregate at the foot of the podium. Of course, they will be the overall, the Iron Cup and the Titanium Cup podiums coming up in a few moments' time. So the Harble family are here en masse. Kenny has done him proud with a great drive, really was. Well, almost enjoying himself so much he didn't want to come into the pit lane. It's hard to find any fault at all with that. It's a top job. So the drivers will shortly be brought up towards the podium, and we can reflect on Kenny Harble, the race winner. That is the first Mercedes victory this season. We've had Ferrari taking 5 wins, 3 for BMW and 1 for a Mercedes driver. A win for a delighted Kenny Harble. He's with our reporter Dakota.
Kenny, a massive congratulations. What a cool race that was.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, and really thank you to SRO and Pirelli for this, and first time in Hungary for me. And all these guys are pretty good. We had a fast car, so I'm the lucky one today. I get drunk tonight.
First one and a winner. It must feel great.
I can't wait to have a Scotch and Coke. Thank you.
Congrats.
So Kenny Harble, who has already, as I say, had a win in Pro-Am in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. You can see the Pro-Am sticker is there, because that's the same car he uses. It's got the one here. Let's just have another look at some of the highlights of the race. And for Karim Mauger, it all kind of went wrong here, didn't it? Because he was on the outside line and kind of got hung out to dry. Fought back at turn 2, but then just looked to the outside of the road here because he gets run out onto the curb and couldn't get back in for Coach McKenzie's car being alongside. Clausi de Frères clattering into Edward Lewis Browner's Porsche. He retired with damage. Browner did badly delayed. Patrick Van Glebecker was up the curb in the Ferrari on more than one occasion trying to get past Coach McKenzie, whose stolid defence kept the Ferrari behind him, and in turn Van Glebecker then had to try and fend off the challenge coming from Karim Mauger. And this really raged on race long, didn't it? Because at no point was Mauger able to get past Van Glebecker, and at no point was Van Glebecker able to get up past McKenzie. Angelique de Savernier was going strongly early on, although sadly retired mid-race. Van Glebecker ran wide in his pursuit of McKenzie, and Karim Mauger doing likewise behind. But up front, there was just no arguing about the race leader. Kenny Harble, number 751, on target for an easy victory. And Kenny Harble racing here for the first time, taking a class win and an outright win from his 2 races of different championships across the day. And a dominant display by Kenny Harble, who wins from Mario Cordoni in 2nd place. Kenny Harble the winner by 19.5 seconds from Mario Cordoni. 3rd going to Coach McKenzie. 4th, Patrick Van Glebeker ahead of Karim Auger. And the top 6 rounded out by Steve Earle. 7th going the way of Louis-Philippe Cernan, ahead of Edward Lewis Brown, recovering after his spin, and Roberto Raineri in 9th place. The class winners, Kenny Harble, Mario Cordoni and Steve Earle at the end of the qualifying race from the Blancpain Sports Club here at the Hungary. 25 minutes today, 40 minutes tomorrow for the main race. And the drivers will, of course, start in the order that they finished today, and they will be on track early doors, in fact, at 9:50. They race tomorrow morning. More action to come tomorrow from the GT4 Championship at just after 11 o'clock, and the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup is on track at around about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So Kenny Harble will, in a moment, be brought forward onto the podium, but we have the different classes being represented, of course, as well. Coach McKenzie is taking 3rd place overall. Mario Cordoni takes 2nd, and then the top step will go the way of Kenny Harble. There is Kenny Harble. Says complimenti to Mario Cordoni. Bravo to Coach McKenzie. So well done to Kenny Harble. The Australian driver then wins on his first visit to the Hungary ring. And he will be a very happy man as Jackie Groom from SRO hands over the 3rd place trophy to Coach McKenzie, then to Mario Cordoni for 2nd spot. And Kenny Harble is the man who will have a bit of excess baggage now, because that's the 2nd trophy of the day. He was the Pro-Am category winner in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup earlier today, and now he's an outright race winner in the Blancpain GT Sports Club, thanks to this victory in the qualifying race. And he will be on pole position, of course, for tomorrow's main race. So the winning drivers there will, I think, now, despite the fact that Kenny Harble said he wanted a Scotch and Coke, they're going to get the champagne everywhere. And for Kenny Harble, it's worth it, isn't it? Celebrations begin, and family, young and old, joining in on the act downstairs. Kenny Harble delighted with that. Mario Cordoni and Coach McKenzie with him on the podium. The whole ethos of this is for the amateur driver who wants to race nice cars at nice circuits, but not have that constant pressure, constant fear almost of having to look in your mirrors because you've got a pro driver on a gun lap bearing down on you. And after a while, it was apparent that within the Blancpain, as it was then, Endurance Series, to give him that title, the AMs were dwindling numerically because it was just not quite as pleasant an environment. So the sports club was created to give them the track time. So they get 2 free practice, they get qualifying, a short race and a main race, the qualifying race and the main race. And so at good venue, in good cars, there's a lot of track time for the AMs. And although some rounds get more cars than others, it has certainly been a good initiative, and we've had some good racing as well. Karim Auger leads the championship still from Mario Cordoni, and then Luigi Lucchini, absent this weekend, he's 3rd ahead of Coach McKenzie, who now overhauls Patrick Van Glebeker, and Jürgen Herring is 6th, having non-started. Christian Hook is absent, Stephen Earle is 8th overall, Murad Sultanov is absent, and Klaus Dieter Prez didn't score, nor did Angelique de Tavernier, and Pierre Pellegioni is not here this weekend either. So that is the overall standings, and we have there the drivers coming onto the podium for the Titanium Cup, where Karim Auger is 3rd and Coach McKenzie is 2nd, and this time Mario Cordoni gets the top step as a class winner. Well done. Complimenti, Mario Coroni. The Ferrari driver then scores a class win, and Karim Auger receives his third place trophy from Jackie Groom, the sporting mastermind within SRO. If there is a rule you want to know about any GT category or the history thereof, Jackie is the person to ask. Second place trophy goes the way of Coach McKenzie, and Mario Cordoni on the top step of the podium takes not a race win but a class win here at the Hungary. And so then once the champagne has been sprayed, they will be the Iron Cup podium as well to look forward to. Steve Earle, Louis-Philippe Cernan and Roberto Raineri will be there, and Karim Auger, as a gentleman, is not going to spray the bubbly. He's going to take that away and enjoy it with the team later. Coach McKenzie and Mario Cordoni depart with him, and in the Titanium Cup, Karim Auger still has this clear lead over Mario Cordoni, who's not done every race, in fairness. Coach McKenzie third ahead of Jürgen Herring, who likewise has not done every race, missing that one. Christian Hook, absent this weekend, he's fifth ahead of Claudio Gosselin, who we've lost for this weekend, also missing from here. Claudio Schiavone, Dirk Parhofer and Kurt Wagner. So there are a lot of drivers that pop in and out, get a feel for the championship, like use it even as a bit of testing for other events. But Karim Auger has been a stalwart and is rewarded with the class lead in the Titanium Cup. So the team's very happy ASP squad is about to cheer the next gang of drivers that will come forward. The Iron Cup for Roberto Raineri, third place. The Mercedes driver makes his way onto the podium. Roberto, one feels for, because in an older generation car, he's a bit lonely. But third place in the class is his. There, Louis-Philippe Cernan takes second. And the redoubtable Steve Earle, arch enthusiast, onto the top step for a class win, his second of the year. Well done, Steve Earle. For Kessel Racing, Steve Earle is the winner of the Iron Cup for the second time this season. The trophies are brought forward. Roberto Raineri in the Mercedes, the earlier SLS AMG GT3 run by the GDR Racing Squad. He takes third. Second is Louis-Philippe Cernan with his Ferrari. And Steve Earle is a class winner, and a very happy man he is too. Steve Earle takes race honours and huddles everybody together on the top step of the podium. Steve Earle, Louis-Philippe Cernan make a Ferrari 1-2, Mercedes 3, and they're going to spray, save, spray, save. It'll go to the team, says Steve Earle. So well done to the class winners. Mario Cordoni here, orchestrating champagne